okayfm 101.7.
Honorable Dr. Clement Apaak, MP for Busa South. Na ye no entwetwe enkomo na honorable memoache
Majo kwame kuma tikesie me josto me chiefie fo nyina so
etiefo nyina joso ba bia ya na ekodi tuo no na anu me ko hokoye complain me manko police station me ko ba bia ekodi tuo no
awo tabes na ewo hona ya ekodi tuo ya fra ya ko wacha me botom na toku abedem
oh na we sankwa
you need to ma ya beko
mate then we will do it the Busa way.
That's all
honorable education ehun nsem wo a committee of parliament education we are ranking member waka na mampani hye ya wade agu akwa mu kakra in the wake of this covid woso wo ho asem bi ka baabi wo ho a enka wogidi se yetene no a enka ye sa committee kura abante yese won mo hwe no per the announcement and a pronouncement free His Excellency the President of the Republic of Ghana no e ba ye no I render sa committee no almost useless asem no ete say
yo mba cho kwame da celebrate me say yenyina Ghana for you so nyina covid here by ha bebre ama student ka sitia no le ni mu no wa say system kakra na megidi se ni nyina e ka ho ntina mampani akasa ne abamu mpenufo ane Ghana for do na yenyina ejitu mu se mra yare baaye no wa se yesukusu no ya mankwara no kofi na yutumi ehwe de ebeye se omanma na ebetumi aso anu na empo yentumi emma yare no mfiri krom ha de ebeye na ye de aboy ho ban na ya aboy nkwara no ho ban na emese no ekiri na mampani ene abamu mpenifo esa aka se bibi edu no ebetumi ebie schools no ama omo ana omo GHS 3 ene SSS 3 no wama saba school mino ukase mejiri se SSS 4 ne de instruction de omo ya twere wi anasa ana GHS 4 final year no so no nyame adom abusum yi na ombe hyase na eno se no mu no oboni be kana debate no eda ho ekoso whether say omo amaka fie school gwara na omo ofie no yema amomra school ana se yema omo ntna fie na academic year ya ewo mu no no de entwem na nyame adom a afia ebe na nka omako school mejisa mampeni eye eyi ni 15th or so address no or ka say the debate around the reopening of schools must be thorough and detailed. I'm just paraphrasing him. I know you know yet he said Minister for Education me uncle Honorable Matthew Poko Prempe at the 10-member committee edi you can say UNICEF no more count GES private schools association and the account 10-member committee. And the Omoma Eti said the committee was supposed to hold consultations with stakeholders and to provide recommendations and a report ostensibly to the minister and eventually to the president to guide government decisions on what to do regarding the debate. Say you be an answer MBA, an answer mpo you be maybe na ebie kafie. Na committee no yema almost by the 21st of this month. Eti nimsa committee no eye yuma. Ati akote say mampeni announcement during the 16th address no. Say decisions had been made after what he called consultation with quote unquote relevant stakeholders. And on that basis, omo SSS1, GHS1 no. Omo beba school. Marker from primary 6 to kindergarten, no dear. On the till 2021. I'm saying, now, say, who work as a mayor to who committee? Say, omunya consultations to stakeholders. Now, omun for recommendations, Emrawa. Now, I the announcement here. And on I say, either committee, no, Ejuma, and I say, Ejuma, no, I'm going to share committee in Sano. Munjindi say, Ejumanka, and what's a committee, no,
now, Mammy was out with you. Mampani Kasem said the Okra can also after consultation with relevant stakeholders. Not just one more man who do Bunumu a year Messiamuno, maybe of which includes the 10-member committee report. And that's what he's saying.
As a son, I tell you, the committee never Jumanti, Omogu committee. But I can tell you for a fact, as of yesterday, there will be a human and because of our responsibilities, they are now more for Kasa. We know that members of the committee were caught unawares. Media talk your margin and community be Kasa. But I must say, based on the sensitivity of their work, they will not comment in the media. In that case, the committee was also had membership from the Ghana Council of Private Schools. But Omomaka said they were never invited to any matter indicating decisions were being made on the basis of consultation regarding the announced reopening. At the Abamumpeni for Omba Church here, now the enemy say committee no envy in Ejuma, committee no making recommendations, and yet President are making an announcement. The Empire no true. That's point number one of the issues I've raised and questions I'm asking. Number two is Omampeni can say we consult whether through GES or directly, but or refer to GES, that all the relevant stakeholders have been consulted. Now, relevant stakeholders, this same Ghana Council of Private Schools, ECAHO, and NAGRAT, is a key stakeholder when it comes to matters to do with pre-tertiary education. The Gilisa NAT, and so yeah, key stakeholder. Now, Menyanti NAT, but NAGRAT for president, Angel Kabonu, Waka, say NAGRAT was never consulted, their views were never sought, and what they got to know was what we all know, that the president has announced that students in JHS 3 and JHS 1 and SSS 1 are to resume school in October. And the Omokwano, they were taken by surprise because they were not consulted. Equally, the same Ghana Council of Private Schools, Omo President, also that they were never consulted. So it makes you wonder, and I'm a member of the Parliament Select Committee on Education. Since COVID by who briefing as a committee, Obianka Hinchire, Obiam Bisa, yes, we again. But then Pono,
now would you say, here say, Parliamentary Select Committee on Education, no more so your bedroom inputs near the.
Oh, yeah, but we are also a stakeholder. And we have oversight responsibilities on any and everything to do with education in this country. It is ideal, we should not be hearing about decisions being made regarding education in the public domain, if for nothing at all. Oh, I was saying to me, any of this information, as members of the committee, and even members of the committee would not be told that. At least leadership should be apprised about the going on. But that is not even the issue because since the advent of COVID, I'm yet to hear any briefing or receive any document or get any report as a member of the Select Committee on Education. But the point I'm making is that when the president says that relevant stakeholders, and you have stakeholders like NAT, NAGRAT, and you have stakeholders like this Ghana Council of Private Schools, coming out to say that were not consulted, it makes you wonder who are the stakeholders? Which relevant stakeholders do we have besides some of these that I have mentioned? And see, all of this raises a number of questions. And don't be surprised. And that is why you see that the private schools, owners of private schools, are complaining that decisions are being made which impact on them as well. And they are not consulted, they are not included. But it is unnecessary.
Yeah.
I believe Ghanaian Times of Study.
Now, honorable, me say we share the issue of congestion. And a buying suno stakeholders they say be a yentimi nyani nyina mum. It's a ban say okay. Now, adebia wo ya it should be done in moderation. Looking at the fact it says our COVID and ya babetna the new normal. Nti we be junior high school say we no put the matwere wie. Nti almost we matwere wie. Nti junior high school 2 no nko. Na senior high school no 2 no nko. Na fei omo kwa na the steady situation no na fei then we tread cautiously. Said the baby me and no any welcome news.
No, I'm not challenging government's decision to direct the schools be open though. Maybe you shouldn't say when you say you have formed a committee to advise and recommend, and yet you go ahead and make that decision that was the original intent for putting together the committee. Now, okay, you have consulted relevant stakeholders. Now, relevant stakeholders no because they won't consult or more. You are not being sincere. And when you do that, it's difficult to carry everyone along. And this is my point. Because there is no reason why you would announce the formation of a committee and indicate the purpose of that committee. Now, we can make a decision now. We can send a committee no MWO. Now, with me and engineer Papa, you've made that decision without due course to the work of the commission. Now, as I can say, you have conferred with relevant stakeholders. And now we are becoming aware that that cannot be true. So you don't expect a government that truly wants to carry all of us along to behave in this manner. That clearly shows that a government has not demonstrated a high level of integrity in terms of maintaining what it promised to do. And matters of integrity should matter to all of us in leadership. Sample say when you actually say relevant stakeholders know when here, and I say committee know here. Let us know and be transparent and straightforward about the matter. But don't go and make claims that we are now beginning to hear from the persons that you claim were conferred with or consulted, persons that you gave assignments to, saying that was not the case. And yes, it doesn't go well for the image of government itself. But the last point I'm raising here has to do with the timely and adequate supply of PPEs. So Emra decision no ever say you school I'm a final year SSS eligible for abano. Mampenini abano for eka say the schools will be fumigated. And which amuka say PPEs will be supplied before schools reopened. But what we saw, they say, some of the schools were being fumigated on the day that students were arriving. The fumigation was going on after the students had arrived. And the PPEs, even got their PPEs a week. In some cases of some of the schools in the northern parts of this country, they got their PPEs 2 weeks after schools resumed. And what is the guarantee? What plans has government put in place to ensure that the schools will be fumigated ahead of time and that the PPEs would arrive before the arrival of the students on the various campuses? And McGinnis said these are very relevant questions, sir. I want to abai to me Edin Chemu MIA.
Honorable Medasi, none will be can say pass over a year MBP Amonuko, free senior high, first batch at Tro. One more Troy and inquire about 300 and something thousand. Nasangualena. So I'm no more for air to Ama a year MPP abang is a free senior high school. Na so friends on kwa ko be 600,000 na de koka another 1 million na 1 BT mu no a say ne anhwe na mo nya ba bia nyina so obi ka say ya obi ya no say
oh no ya system
hey
oh ya system na ukura uba wa wo no wa wo yem ba wa wo no ukojina abatu a bia na chese obeto ama
oh a case in point is na no na na bi National Youth Organizer of the New Patriotic Party called Kumasi Anglican. And I was see one who didn't come by social media across on Nkwalana campaign. No, so 1 year campaign. Now, what do you monitor her and Nkwalana situation? And now, all chairman of Nanabi, we saw appreciation. Eti, and so won't be say it to say.
Oh, a second campaign or more. In some of the Umbecan be. Now, nobody should take our young men and women of this country for granted. They know their left from their right. They understand fully well. Say, Christian school policy, no, a policy, a constitution, and I'm a quine. I'm a yadiaba. Omoki so say the fact that you have implemented the policy, no, does not mean that we fund the policy, no, from what bottom sika. Open say, yena Ghana for sika. Emma, yade ashema, yade share Christian school policy no so. And don't forget, said the same students are also aware of the debilitating challenges as a result of the poor implementation of an otherwise good program. No, yade abromo. Eti, say, amo betra waka say, just because the Nanado MPP government introduced Christian high school, and therefore that is going to translate to an electoral benefit to them. They should be mindful that the program is a national program. It is funded by the taxpayers' money. And the program has also been beset with a lot of challenges. See through the double track system. The semester system now, a man could do na airport na here, mobile school, and Nakitwe Bina, Omasa, Akofino. Do one hour for entry and private teachers, Emma Monchiro. Say dormitories no down house no crowded omunya baby enda no say inwani ana ya mo wholesome ya mo expired food items no electric textbooks awo for eneto no core textbooks ya mo ya ma obi abako ufi year 1 a uko year 2 na we ja to ho no teacher for na workload no na emi no mo kitchen staff na emi no mo ni nyina we na nyina nkwara ni mo. The students themselves are aware that they did not get the full complement of the program as a result of the poor implementation, which was largely due to a lack of serious analysis about how to implement this program. It's say it, I don't know any.
Ana any medals pa na me so adama
but me be say ba ko aya aban peni for no bi so mo ma me the ben pa na omo de se omo ni so say double track system no ebe wie
oh but what are you
2024 na ma peni kan na say in 5 years time in 6 years time na Honorable Minister Matopoku Premteka said between 5 to 7 years as Dr. Duchum, Deputy Minister for Education, Akano, and now said very soon, as said by Dr. Baumia, John Dramani Mama says that he would abolish the double track system in his first year in office. So the alternative has a timeline.
Well, Eddie, medals pa na me so nim se na anu akontabu o mbebu ye no. Various senior high schools, you know, projects I would work also dormitories, classrooms, normally they are on course.
Mania, look, before I question, our parliament, because 2019 now by obviously some 804 structures, dormitories in India, for. And later on 2020 budget, Omoka said they would actually increase it to 962. So my final question, sir, answer about how many of those structures have been completed. As of the time, answer no and it was read on behalf of the minister, Opoku Prempe, by Dr. Duchum. He told at that time, and it is in the hands that less than 300 had been completed across the country. So, if in spite of all the pressures that we all know is being brought to bear by challenges to do with fiscal infrastructure, now we see 804. Now we see 304. Clearly, that tells you that you cannot be serious about eliminating the double track, and that is why they cannot say for certain when the double track system would end. So I want them to tell us, when would the double track system end under the MPP regime? Because we are set, and our flag bearer has been very emphatic, that the obnoxious double track system, which is by and large a product of the infrastructure deficit, would end in the first year of its administration.
Mami Musa,
and we'll do it again.
So Obiba Bemua, the first year, no, a fake one, I better to time out the ministers, time out the appointees, ambassadors, no many idea. One, what about first year, no, Yana wouldn't know what is in the coffers. And first year, no, Ubeti me as infrastructure, you know, saying, who are the contractor. Next as a contract, Nipan the 6 months, and the beginning to abolish them. Can it be feasible?
Kwame, say you bet me.
Okay.
Challenges of free school, and you know na minority amawino. We know what the issue is. This is not a matter that will require, and we know the big issue has to do with infrastructure. And so I mean it is very clear and straightforward. This is an issue that should be believed. At least we are very certain about when we can get the job done. And that is why Ghanaians must give us a chance to come and resolve these matters, to come and ensure that the Free Senior High School bears the needed fruit. We believe and agree that it has come to stay, and it will be maintained, but it needs to be re-engineered, and the challenges thereof, as I've narrated, addressed, so that the young people of this country, teachers and parents, we can all enjoy the full complement of the Free Senior High School policy. It's as simple as that. And you bet me here. Now, infectious center here, private sector forecast or more, and that's no movie here. Have they not finished building it? It is doable. It is all about being committed and putting the resources there to get the job done.
Mati, honorable idea, you ready? Almost in Yano, the baby, na at was ready. Kobo.
Yo, Miss Mira,
yes, said as a pa. Okay, 101.7. So, any honorable Dr. Clement Apaak, a ranking member, Educational Committee of Parliament in NIC, okay, 101.7.
okayfm 101.7.